Yeah, so I told him if he ever wanted to come back, he'd have to take a bath under the mines of Mandalore, and he didn't take the hint.
That would be Star Wars Explained's first bath this year, so I understand why he was hesitant.
Jeez. All right, well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to Tapcaf Transmissions, where we insult our friends and talk about Star Wars. I'm Corey. Joining me, as always, is Mr. Justin EckhartsLadder. How are you doing today, Justin?
I'm pretty well. We're back in the swing of things, TV show-wise. We got a new Mandalorian. We got Bad Batch. They're releasing on the same day, just like God intended.
Yes. Praise be to George Lucas.
Praise be.
What do you think about that? Like, did you ever have any second thoughts about our Overlord's choices to have these shows release all on Wednesday instead of like maybe splitting that up a little bit?
Oh yes, I've had many second thoughts about that. I've also complained lots about their decision to make the show come out at 12 p.m. Pacific time. I think the idea is probably that like they want there to be Star Wars Day, or maybe they want there to just be big release day. I think what they should do, release the Bad Batch on Tuesday, so if people log in early, then they can watch that before the Mando episode drops. Because right now the Bad Batch is being overshadowed, which is a shame because this was a really good episode.
Yeah, like I really wish it was a Wednesday and a Friday release or something, or even just a Wednesday and a Thursday release, but it's only 4 weeks where they're going to be overlapping, I think. Or no, it's going to be 5, right? Because there's 4 episodes, and then there's the finale, which is a pair.
Yeah.
So, oh well.
Yeah.
But today we are going to be focusing mostly on The Mandalorian. We'll probably also do a little bit of talking about Metamorphosis, the latest Bad Batch episode as well, because it was a good one. But what did you think? What's your hot take preference between the two? Are you an apostate person or are you a metamorphosed person?
Fuck, I saw a hilarious tweet someone put out. I meant to grab it for you guys, where they photoshopped it from saying chapter 17 apostate to chapter 17 prostate, which I don't know. I just thought was really funny. But I don't know. I liked The Mandalorian more. I enjoyed it more. Yeah. But the base level for my enjoyment of the Mandalorian, like it was a better Bad Batch episode than a Mandalorian episode. But I like the Mandalorian more.
Yeah, my feeling with it, I did enjoy the episode, but I feel like this is one of the Mandalorian episodes where once you're kind of back into the swing of things, if you're going through a rewatch of the show even, it's probably not going to hold up quite as well. Because there's so much of it that was just like, oh, we haven't seen these characters for 2 years. Here's Grief Karga. Here's Mando and Din back together, even though we saw that in Book of Boba Fett. So I feel like it's probably not going to be quite as strong.
I think that was kind of my big takeaway. It certainly wasn't bad, but I think episode 1 of season 2 was either the best or the second best episode of the entire season. Right up there as best for the entire series. And the big thing about the season premieres up until this last one is they always had one big hook. In season 1, obviously, it was Grogu. In season 2, it was mostly Boba Fett, but also Cobb Vanth, if you're an EU guy. And the Crate Dragon was kind of a big hook as well. This episode didn't quite have that as much. I think that is one thing that people are kind of missing, but we're definitely going to be getting lots of that this season.
Yeah, like it was almost the IG-11 is back situation, but instead that turned into 2 episodes that had a spooky destroyed droid scene, which I thought was a fun parallel, but
yeah, that was weird. Like I was really hoping that they wouldn't resurrect IG-11, and they didn't. I mean, I think there'll be something with him later, probably. Yeah. But kind of weird that they spent so much time in that episode. Like, part of it was probably an excuse to see the Anzellans.
Yeah. Dude, what did you feel about that? Because I have some thoughts.
The Anzellans or IG-11?
Anzellans.
I thought they were cute. I didn't really have any problem with them.
Yeah, so I liked them for them, but the thing is, it goes so much more into the Star Wars problem of like this is the X
Oh
species.
yeah.
When we already had the Nikto, the Quarren, and the Trandoshan, like much like the two explodey droid parts, we had two
Hmm.
villain Trandoshan moments between the two episodes,
Yeah.
and the Angelans were just like they were all just Babu Frick. They were
Yeah.
as
When you
Babu
get,
Frick as can be.
I wasn't sure, was Babu Frick one of them or no?
No,
I
no,
can't recognize one Anzellan from another.
I don't think any of them was Babu Frick himself, but
Okay. Um.
if
What was it?
Grogu had eaten one, it would have been so much worse than the egg controversy.
Yes, that's true. He could have at least tried. I will say that that moment, it did really remind me of being a parent because my daughter is very like grabby,
Mhm.
and she'll go up and just hug people, and you're like, no, don't do that, but it never works. So I definitely I definitely felt Mando's frustrations
Yeah.
there. Um, but yeah, you're right. That is, I didn't think about it, but yeah, obviously that's something they did, of course.
Yeah. Like
Is it-
I enjoy how much that Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian have aliens in them. Something that Mando is doing more now than it had in prior seasons, but it's always the setting the aliens up so Din can kill them, which is a
yeah,
little bit sus.
he do be killing lots of aliens. I'm trying to think of how many people he's actually killed, like humans.
Very few. A lot of
Yeah,
aliens though. Like
I
90%
want.
of the aliens he meets, he kills.
I wonder if that's kind of like we want him to be a good guy, so we can't have him like killing too many humans.
Yeah. So instead, we made him racist.
Yeah, well,
You see
that's
him walking away at the end of Book of Boba Fett wearing a pelt made out of black chrysanthemum.
that's the evil alien. It's okay, evil alien race. Yeah, no, it's a good point. Yeah, no, that's I got nothing. That's
Look,
a good
if we
point.
can get canceled Din, hashtag canceled Din trending, then we've done our jobs.
Yeah. Um, Speaking of Din, definitely. Do you think they were intending for it to be a throw or a trickery moment at the very beginning with that kid? Like, I definitely thought that
I
was meant to
felt,
be
yeah,
Din
like
Djarin.
I was sure at first, like, oh, they're doing a flashback to him being inducted. Wow, the
Yeah.
armor and Paz Vizsla are incredibly fucking old.
Hmm. Yeah, and I was trying to remember. I think the armorer may have been around.
Yeah, I think
Like,
she was there on the Aquatina scenes.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, that was weird, and that was one of those moments where like I could have went without the big creature moment at the
Yeah.
beginning. I didn't hate it.
It did
But it's
just
just
feel like a smaller version of what we got with the Crate Dragon last season.
yeah, yeah, and definitely a cool design too. At least.
Yeah. Did you get the feeling from that though, especially mixed with the Book of Boba Fett scene, that like the armor was just as happy to have him gone in general? Like the you got to go take a bath under Mandalore thing in Book
Mhm.
of Boba Fett when she doesn't think it's possible. The way she said it all sounded very much like, okay, now screw off. And now when he explained it, or he comes back, helps them, which is great. But then she just lays into him and explains like, no, you can't actually do the thing I told you to do. It's impossible. She does come around on it a bit, and this is the way sounded more
Yeah,
encouraging than it did the prior time. But it seemed
yeah,
just like a thank God this guy's finally out of her hair. Oh God, why is he back?
yeah. I don't know. I definitely thought like she felt like she had softened a little bit over time. Where yeah, she's obviously a hardcore adherent to their ways. So there's only so much softness she could show, I guess. Like she can't welcome him back because she just can't. So I felt like she probably did as much as she could within those restrictions. Um, yeah, that's my thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, well, that's going to do it for. No.
that's it. That's it.
Uh,
That's it. Yeah. So what was I gonna say? I can't remember. Yeah, so the first section was funny. There's a lot more Mandalorians left in that little sect than I
yeah.
realized. I gotta say, I thought more of them had been killed, but yeah, still quite a few left. The kids get the Walmart version masks. They always look really funny because they got the massive visor, and the helmet
Yeah.
itself is pretty small.
Do you think they're still on? I don't like. So they were on Navarro at first, then
Yeah,
they were on Glavis, and
yeah,
now they're on this other world. But Din always seems to know where to find them. So do they like send him a postcard of like, hey, we're having fun on Desert World number 3. Wish you were here, but also don't come back until
Mm.
you've taken a bath.
Yeah, I don't know. I was hoping they'd stay on Glavis because I really liked that planet, or space station rather.
Mm-hmm.
So I was definitely a little disappointed to move on from there. Um, but yeah, I guess he's probably got some communication with them. But obviously, yeah, he stinks. He's got to get the bath. And yeah, I don't know how he's finding them, but the season's moving along. And I don't know, from this episode, I definitely got the feeling that this season's going to be a bit more kind of like I don't think this one's going to be kind of a straightforward quest like the past two have been. I think this one's going to be more similar to like season 1,
Mm-hmm.
where we're discovering more about the character. Like I see this as like a transitionary season, I guess, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. And like the overarching theme is definitely going to be Mandalorians and their traditions, and whether the Darksaber tradition is as dumb as the helmet one. But I don't know. So there is something that nearly ripped our friendship apart this week. I don't know if we want to talk about that.
What was that?
The Jon Favreau statements.
Oh yeah, I mean he kind of clarified it, but he didn't really.
He didn't clarify it at all.
He made it actually worse, I would say.
Yeah. So for those of you who haven't seen it, there was an interview that Jon Favreau did with the Sky Talkers podcast.
I think it was a bunch of podcasts actually.
Okay, well,
it was a roundtable, I believe.
Yeah. So the version I saw was their clip of it at least, and what Jon Favreau said about the time that Luke was away, or that Grogu was away with Luke, was that I'm going to find the exact quote because it's one of the last things I said on Twitter, so it won't be hard. But he said, okay, we know that he's been rescued and spent many years with the Mandalorian, went back, and then some other stuff. Then he went back with Luke. Now we've been 2 years apart from him there training. And so it was unclear whether he meant 2 years as in 2 years of real time, as in like, since we've seen the end of Mandalorian season 2, that's been 2 years. Even though he was in Book of Boba Fett and the Reunited there, but we're not going to get into that.
Jeez, I just got an emergency alert. It's fucking loud. Sorry, continue.
Well, is it an actual emergency, or do you need to?
It says there's a man armed with a knife in an area that's not really that close to me. He may not be wearing a shirt. It is freezing. It's like a blizzard out there.
Oh, well, that's not great.
I think Mother Nature's going to take care of that for the boys.
Okay, well,
sorry,
that's insensitive in an ongoing emergency situation. But
he's also bald, so he does have a beard that could help keep him warm. But
okay, well, so it's either real time 2 years or he meant in universe 2 years, and then he did another interview where he was allegedly clarifying it, and the answer that
so much worse.
Yeah, the answer that he ended up landing on was somewhere between 0 and 2 years.
Yeah, he was like, at first he was like 1 to 2, and then he's like, well, or 0 to 2. So it's like, I think the answer is he probably just doesn't really know and hasn't thought about it that much.
But look at how Navarro, like the biggest time change thing we can see is how Navarro has built up, which I think the biggest problem that it causes, like I don't care how long it ends up being that Grogu and Luke were together, like as far as their relationship goes, whatever. The only things I think are weird coming out of it, if it's a really long period of time, is that one, Mando was using public transportation for that long, which is I'm in favor of, but that's also difficult if you're a bounty hunter.
We stand an environmentally conscious king.
Yeah. And secondly, just what was Boba doing for that long?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
But other than that, I don't really care that much.
For me, 2 years works for the entire time. Like I always felt like there was more of a time jump between seasons 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Like it does seem, especially now, that he probably meant the time that Luke and Grogu were together was at least around a year. Like in that space is probably where it's going to settle on. And
yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, like just thinking, like, Star Wars is never good with time.
No.
Which is why I'm not letting it bother me too much. And like that's the best example of this is like at the end of The Empire Strikes Back, where Luke is like on the phone with Lando, and he's like, "I'll meet you on Tatooine," and then it's like what, like
6 months later?
Isn't it a couple of years?
Yeah, the overall time between the movies is that long, but it's also like the start of it happened at different times. Like Luke is probably on Dagobah for longer, or maybe a weekend. Who knows? And then there's the whole like, oh, does time just work differently on Dagobah? Shut the fuck up! I hate that. But yeah.
Either way, it's like, I'll meet you on Dagobah, and like, or so I'll meet you on Tatooine. Like, not anytime soon, though.
Yeah. Han ain't going anywhere. We want to make sure that Leia's aged up a bit, so this is less creepy.
Yeah. I think honestly, even from A New Hope to The Empire Strikes Back is kind of weird, where that's is that a year? But it's like,
I think
it feels like
closer to 2.
Where it feels like Han really shouldn't have been around for that long. Like, he could have just ran off to Jabba. Like, he needed like a week off. Like, because he's got the money at this point.
Well, they were off doing other stuff. He didn't care about the money until we ran into those bounty hunters on Ord Mantell.
Yeah, right.
So
he's got all these. Yeah, and I think the comics make that a little worse because they've fucking shoved so many. Like, Luke goes to like 18 different lightsabers. Mm-hmm. He falls in love with 6 different women. It's like, I don't know. That's why I like the old Marvel comics, because they tell the movie stories in the comics, and then they just tell clearly nonsense stories in between. No one takes it seriously.
You say that, but we're adding the Nagayan Toph as an invading faction in Thrawn's Revenge. So
now that is epic.
But that's one of the things with,
are you gonna do their ships? Are you gonna do the Faroon ships?
We actually do have a ship model that Aceratul was working on to try to like make a Toph ship and kind of make it make a bit more sense than just like pure space pirate ship, while still mostly being a space pirate ship. But
okay.
It's always going to happen with the original trilogy, where like they're always going to want to tell another story in that period. That's always going to be like a prime period, and then suddenly you have like the Clone Wars problem, where it's 3 years, but also there's like 15 years worth of shit that happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Or where Ash is still 1 year old, or not 1 year old, 10 years old, but he's competed in like 30 national leagues, become world champion, and slept 6 million times.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting one if someone could count up all the times Ash has woken up and gone to sleep in the show. Do that for The Simpsons as well. That would be interesting. Like,
I think The Simpsons is more like they actually talk about it a lot more too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it's funny because there's like one occasion where they actually go up a grade. Like, I feel like in The Simpsons they've went up a grade once, but I could be mistaken.
Yeah, I think they start in like.
I know they did in South Park. They've went up grades, or maybe just grade.
They went up 1, and then there was like the leveling up title sequence.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was like Digivolving that they did.
Oh yeah, because I think like one of them was like or was it like Sailor Moon maybe?
I thought it was probably a mix of all the anime powering up stuff. So there's probably no wrong answer there.
Yeah. Speaking of sick anime moments, how about that? How about them space whales? That was pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Definitely a highlight of the episode for me.
So do you think we're presaging a return for Mr. Ezra Bridger sometime down the line?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think we're going to see that probably at the end of the season. Maybe we don't see Ezra himself, but I think we'll get a hint of it at least.
Yeah, I think so. We're pretty much confirmed on Sabine being in Ahsoka, right? Like, that's fairly solidly known. I'm not sure if it was just rumors or if it was an actual announcement of Natasha Liu Bordizzo, I think her name is, that is allegedly playing her, but I don't think that was an official announcement. I think that was also a leak.
Yeah.
But I feel like she's still the biggest cameo chance we have this season, other than like Boba, which Star Wars Hong Kong accidentally confirmed, I think.
I honestly, with the Star Wars Hong Kong thing, I feel like that could very well be
just a intern mistake.
Yeah, some intern in a smaller Star Wars market, not knowing everything.
Yeah. That's like a similar situation to the Celebration, where I'm not sure what to think on that. I don't know. Do we want to take a quick beeline and head over to there and then get back to Mando and Boba Fett?
Yeah, sure. Why don't you describe the situation?
Okay, so there was Star Wars Celebration is coming in what, a month now, month or 2 months, I guess,
Is it that
and
soon? Okay.
it's end of April, I want to say.
Yeah, I'm not going, so I haven't even worried
Yeah.
about it.
So yeah, I think it's coming end of April, and like most of the speculation was about how it's going to probably have some Star Wars movie news. And like last year, that's where we got the Jedi Survivor announcement. There's a bunch of big interviews and some panels and stuff, so it was cool. But there was a lot that was streamed online, and there were a few offline exclusives, which I think included a Mandalorian trailer that was like
Yep.
never properly put out
Nope.
in that form.
It had
And
temporary music that I actually
yeah.
really liked.
So people were already upset about that, but then there was an email that someone posted, I think making Star Wars,
Yeah.
about how they'd contacted customer service at the first celebration and asked
FanBiz
about,
or what's the fan but I forget whatever company is that puts on the cons.
I have my own email for it.
Oh, okay.
So I need to find out which email I use for it. But yeah, basically what the customer service email said was that the one that he posted was that there is not going to be a live stream for this year's Star Wars Celebration. And so that made a lot of people upset. I think it's kind of dumb if that's the case, but
Yeah, I'm of like two minds about it. Like, yes, it seems weird that the random employee would say something, and that's how it would be kind of like without it being announced prior. But I also kind of want, like, that is something the company would have to know because they're the ones
Yeah.
putting the con on. They need the infrastructure if it's going to be live streamed. That is presumably something they would tell their employees. Why would they talk about it if they didn't know for sure? That's kind of the.
yeah.
But
So
also, yeah.
I thought like maybe this is just a specific customer service person who was wrong, so I emailed myself to ask. And
Oh, okay.
a response I got from a different customer service agent was, "Hi Corey, thanks for reaching out about Star Wars Celebration. There will be no virtual show for this year as everything will be in person. Should there be changes, it will be posted on our website and show socials immediately. Thank you
Okay.
and have a lovely day." So if it is a mistake, then it's a mistake that the entire company seems to be making.
Yeah, I
rather
don't think
than
it's
an
a mistake.
individual
No.
thing.
I think it's very low chance. Have you put that out there yet?
Not
Is
yet.
that breaking news? Are you making a video on it? Or are you going to tweet it?
I'm going to make a video on it. Probably no
Okay.
one's going to watch it. I will tweet out the email as well. But I feel like I can't be the only one who did that, who thought like, oh, this person said something, let me check it. But this is the Star Wars internet.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you vastly underestimate how fucking lazy people are.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, so it seems like that's the case. Kind of upsetting.
So
Not
dumb,
upsetting,
man.
but-
No, it is upsetting. I think it's upsetting. I really enjoy watching it every year. Like it's multiple days where I got Star Wars stuff going on my second monitor while I'm working all day. It's fun to
Yeah.
because I got two kids and a third on the way. I can't fly across the ocean to go to a fucking Star Wars conference at willy nilly. I'd still like to be involved somehow. So that sucks.
Yeah, especially if they are going to do any kind of announce. So the thing that I find worst about it is like if they do any announcements, I don't know if it's going to be like individual videos posted or something, but that doesn't seem as cool as like watching the actual show.
No, definitely not. That's so dumb. I'm not a fan of that.
But yeah, so back to Mandalorian. Din goes to Calavela, says hi to his good friend Bo-Katan, who is not feeling so happy anymore.
She's just vibing. She's just in a real rough place.
Sitting on her throne alone.
Yeah. Just absolutely in one right now.
Yeah. So she basically tells him no. So I was annoyed with Din there a little bit, where he doesn't seem to be understanding the difference between the planet being absolutely fucked and being cursed. Because like Bo-Katan was saying, it's not cursed, it's just shit. He's like, but I thought you said it wasn't cursed. No, that's not.
He came off as such a loser in that entire. Like the way he comes up, he's like, "Hello, it's me, Din Djarin." Like, yeah, no kidding. I feel like he probably feels a bit awkward.
He's just so naive. It's adorable.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really funny. It's like he's got no clue. Like he's
no social skills whatsoever.
It's like, are you just? Can you remind me? Are you a Jedi? I can't remember. It's like, no, fuck.
Well, I was surprised that Bo-Katan came in so early. So like, it seems like she's going to be a pretty big fixture of the season as a whole. So that's good. I enjoy seeing Katie Sackhoff get to play her in live action.
Yeah,
as
she's
well.
great. She's really good.
Yeah. What?
I'm just trying to think of what else I want to talk about for this episode.
Should we do any like pre-reviews of episode 2?
Yeah, because we can. I was checking earlier, and we can talk about it slightly. So we were able to watch episode 2
We will not
as well.
give any spoilers. By
no
the way,
spoilers.
Before anyone clicks off in a panic, we are not.
And be careful because they are on Reddit right now. The full spoilers are out there. So if you don't want to be spoiled, don't go on Star Wars Leaks. Thankfully, probably no more spoilers after episode 2 because usually they don't send out screeners for Mando because everyone's gonna fucking watch it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you like episode 1 or episode 2 more? I personally felt like they should have probably released both at the same time.
So like keeping it spoiler free, where episode 1 felt like it was getting just like, oh, here's all your greatest hits of Mandalorian, everyone's back. Episode 2 got into a lot more meat of like stuff.
Lot more than I expected. I'll say that. Yeah. Like the show is moving, and not in a bad way.
Yeah, like we're getting to like actual focus on some of those themes directly rather than just like, oh hey, it's Grief Karga, oh hey, it's Cara Dune's grave in the backyard or background. But yeah,
which makes me excited that like we're moving pretty quickly because that will leave lots of time for like the New Republic stuff, which has been talked about. Like even I'm just reading the what's it called description for the show. Once a lone bounty hunter, Din Djarin is reunited with Grogu. Meanwhile, the New Republic struggles to lead the galaxy away from its dark history. So I'm kind of wondering, like, oh, if we're moving pretty decently, maybe we will get more of that than I expected. And we have seen that scene on Coruscant as well.
Yeah.
So did you like episode 1 or episode 2 more?
I liked episode 2 a lot more.
Yeah. Episode 2 is weird. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way though. It's very weird, but lots of awesome special effects. That's one thing I feel like the visuals in this show even continue to improve. Like I thought Navarro was great. Some of the stuff we see in season 2 or in episode 2 especially is really, really good. Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to say about The Mandalorian before we jump over to a little bit of The Bad Batch?
I'm glad it's back. One thing I'll say that I think sums up my feelings about Star Wars TV. I really love Andor. Andor would have never in a million years given us a space whale scene. You know what I mean? And that's pretty cool. Like that's like I think it was a Ryan Johnson quote I saw someone post where like Star Wars should be about bringing you joy. And that scene brought me joy. So good stuff.
Yeah. I do love the fact that we have 2 shows going right now at the same time, and both spur from the fact that like people independently decided in 2 different ways we should clone Boba Fett.
Yeah, exactly. Figuratively, and
not to mention like again the actual Boba Fett show. That Andor and Kenobi are the only Star Wars
Boba
TV
Fett is literally the key to all of
this.
this. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Did we even? I mean, we saw one Boba Fett clone in Kenobi at least.
Yeah.
And we saw some in Andor as well. Yeah. Because we saw some clone troopers on Rick's Road. So.
Yeah. Well. That's our Mando thoughts for now. We'll be talking about Mando throughout the season, I'm sure. But Bad Batch Metamorphosis, Zillo Beast is back.
Yes.
Nice horror alien. I mean, what do you expect? Some nice aliens references at the start, or at least that was my take on it. I don't know. Maybe I'm dumb.
No, that was my take.
It seemed like I do like that they leaned into the horror elements a bit more, like explicitly telling Omega, like, yeah, those guys got eaten.
She's like, holy fuck.
I hate them.
Yeah, obviously.
Well, usually Star Wars would just kind of leave that implied in the background and not
Yeah.
tell the 13-year-old that they were eaten.
Well,
But
every crew member got skull fucked. Oh my god.
but so I've watched the episode like 3 or 4 times now, so it
Yeah, I
kind of
watched it
wore
3 times.
off.
Yeah.
But the first time I watched it, uh, partially because I wasn't paying full attention while I was writing stuff, but I got a bit of a jump scare from the droid. So
I at first, I mean, it was pretty obvious early on that it was the Zillo Beast, but the little Zillo Beast, level 1 Zillo Beast, one of the screen calls, it doesn't really look like it, does it? Like the thing
no,
goes under quite a metamorphosis, as the
it's
name would
definitely
imply.
stubby.
Yeah, I actually really like the Lil Zillo design.
Yeah.
Zillo, isn't that like a home buying website
Yeah,
or something?
I was going
like,
to say Zillow.com if we were coming into it, but
yeah. Yeah, it's just yeah, great episode. The thing that I really liked was the end with the Zillo Beast itself was like maybe the weakest part of the episode, which is kind of funny to say. I liked the increasing like Imperial intrigue we were getting.
yeah.
Where like we're learning more and more about Mount Tantus. Like I think that the Zillo Beast is like not the thing going on at Mount Tantus. It's just one of many things.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of why it exists, to like clue in the boys that, hey, shit's gonna get real. And I thought they might even reveal the location of it when they're going through the files, but nope, been sharpied out.
Well, it seems like they must have a bunch of these guys too, because like when that one was gone, their concern wasn't like, oh, we need the asset back. It was, oh shit, we need to cover this up.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah, they probably would have killed it if they had needed to. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Definitely killed some civilians.
Because they
Liquidated some.
didn't the Zillo Beast episodes in the Clone Wars end with them like talking about actually cloning it?
Palpatine talks about it. Like
Yeah.
Palpatine secretly. I can't remember if he actually says he's gonna have it killed to the Jedi, but then he talks to his little assistant and he's like, have it be cloned.
Yeah.
And then we never really heard much about it. But I really like that they picked up on that plot thread, because it was kind of one thing that was like one of the big questions that I always got asked, and like whenever I put a comment section, be like, what happened to the Zillo Beast? What do you think happened? So I'm glad we know.
Yeah. Where are they even from? Like, is that a...
They're from Malastare.
Oh, gross.
Yeah. They remember they wake it up. They're like they're like bombing Malastare.
Yeah.
In the original Clone Wars, it's full sized, but they are like, it doesn't have, as much as I remember anyway, it doesn't have like the electrical like eating like where it gets powered up by electricity. But it is kind of interesting because it is actually woken up by an electro bomb or whatever. So
Everyone keeps assuming this is about Dark Troopers or something, but I think it's got a clearly simpler answer that Palpatine's going for.
Stormtrooper armor?
No, natural Palpatine enhancement. He just,
like,
if he's ever feeling insecure, he just force lightnings a little bit and then...
Oh, I thought you were talking about like Zillo Beast fin soup or something.
Oh.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
if he had managed to really exploit the Zillo Beast power at the end of Rise of Skywalker, like, rather than melting himself with force lightning when it reflects on him, he would have just been bigger Palpatine. Palpatine, but 15% bigger.
I'll go straight to his dick.
Yeah.
Just the Zillo Beast cock ring. I guess you would. Then you wanted to get small. Anyway, I don't know how to move on from that. Really.
Disgusting.
I really liked them using clone commandos. I think that those shots of the clone commandos where they're coming off those shuttles is like probably the coolest Star Wars armor has ever looked. Maybe.
Yeah. What do you think the deal is with the Commandos? Like, Scorch is kind of getting set up as a minor villain for us, but do you think they're starting to get some of the same feelings that the regs are about them getting replaced? Or are they too cordoned off in their own area on Mount Tantus?
Some weren't. Like Gregor's left, so clearly some commandos have been leaving. I think, like, I like that they're using clone commandos. I assume it's because Mount Tantus is such a secret project. Although we also saw them training the new TK troopers as well.
Yeah.
I assume they probably go under like some extra conditioning. It's kind of weird because Star Wars canon, as far as I'm aware, has never really explained how do you become an ARC trooper? How do you become a clone commando? Like, are clone commandos selectively bred?
Well,
we
saw Regs become ARC troopers at least.
ARC troopers, yeah.
So, but that didn't seem like a standard. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and there's the ARC trooper episode. Yeah. Yeah. So, I've always found the ARC trooper commando stuff interesting. But canon has never really explained it, so I'm kind of curious whether we'll learn that clone commandos, maybe like in Legends, they're selectively bred. In the Bad Batch, they were they supposed to be clone commandos? Then they had their their weird genetic anomalies, or is it what came first, basically?
Yeah,
and we don't know. So,
well, I don't know. Do you think we're going to see any Fixer, Boss, or Sev, or is Scorch alone here?
I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know. I feel like probably not. I think Scorch was probably just thrown in because they wanted one really notable clone commando, and he was in the Clone Wars, I believe, and obviously he's known from the games or the game. So, what about you?
I feel like we might get one more of them. I don't think it's going to turn into a whole like Republic Commando subplot with them all being major characters or anything.
Yeah.
I feel like Scorch probably dies before the end of the season.
I wouldn't be shocked at that, I will say. And that could be like, obviously a regretful moment for the clones. I've got no idea where this season's going, but it seems like it's kind of kicked itself into gear now. And like, that's why I don't get all the complaints about the Bad Batch, especially when people talk so lovingly about the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars is exactly like this, where it's like it has arcs. The arcs sometimes forward the greater story, just like the Bad Batch, and then usually it has a few arcs that really move the story forward. Arguably, the Bad Batch has had even more of that, probably because we don't quite know the end point to the same degree. Yeah. But yeah,
I will say the episode that people seem to feel most disconnected from, like, advancing character plots, some of the future episodes in the season make that retroactively make more sense.
Would you say most of because you've seen 12 through
I've seen through 14.
Yeah. I did go watch 12 now. I obviously won't say anything about it. Would you say the rest of the episodes are pretty consequential now?
I would. I feel like some of the people who would complain about Faster and Entombed, especially people who would complain about Faster.
Which one was that again?
That's the racing one that had more tech stuff. They might complain about some stuff later on, but
not episode 12. Episode 12 is really good.
Episode 12, I think, is the best episode of the series. Yeah, not just the season, the series.
Oh yeah, by far, I think. Yeah, I didn't watch any past that, but it's very, very good.
I think episode 12 is the best of the series. I think 13 and 14 are like still A tier, but I feel like there will be some people who don't like them. But I can't explain too much without it giving away like.
Yeah, and we don't know what the finale's like either. No, obviously,
you can't watch the finale yet.
I'm curious if people are going to react next week, because it's a very, very good Bad Batch episode and a good Mandalorian episode.
Okay. I'm going to change that a little bit. Sorry, not Faster. I think the Wookiee one is probably a better point of comparison for it.
Okay. I will say one thing I remember with the Bad Batch season 2. I think it was season 2. The second episode was it the Ice Spiders? Fucking awful episode.
Are you talking about the Mandalorian?
Oh yeah, sorry, the Mandalorian. Yeah,
reminiscing about the Bad Batch season 2.
Yeah, the Mandalorian season 2 episode 2, wasn't it? Because it was such a strong episode. And then episode 2 was like, again, I'm okay with Adventures of the Week, especially in a show like the Mandalorian. But oh my fuck, that episode was boring.
Yeah, like I was rewatching the Mandalorian while I was working on my map video of where Din had been so far, which took like most of my time and performed like absolute shit. So that was nice. But so I was watching through season 2 to make sure I had some of the details right. and I just skipped most of that episode, other than
Yeah.
the parts that I wanted to record to put in a clip in the video.
It's kind of funny because even that episode ended up introducing the 2 New Republic pilots,
Yeah.
right? Was that their first time?
I think it's the
so.
first time with those ones, because there were the
Yeah.
different New Republic pilots that like Dave Filoni played in season 1 with the rescue.
Oh, was that when they came in and bombed the station?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So the spider episode retroactively made me remember season 2 being so much worse. Like I
Really?
was applying, like whenever I was thinking about the Mandalorian season 2 for the last year and a half, I was always thinking like, oh yeah, it was all so slow. There was like nothing going on, but it's like, oh no, episode 1 is fantastic. As
3
soon-
is
the
3 is great as well.
Yeah, the passenger is shit, but then you get not necessarily shit, but it was boring. Then you get to like the Bo-Katan episodes right there. Then you have the Ahsoka episode, I think, is right after. Then and every other
Such a
episode is
strong,
fantastic. In
yeah, such a strong season. The Ahsoka episode 3, might be one of my favorites. Period. For one,
4.
yes, the frog.
Or
Sorry,
Bo-Katan
was that
episode?
Oh
mean
yeah,
the
sorry.
Ahsoka or Bo-Katan?
Yeah, no, I meant Bo-Katan. That's got to be one of my favorites. You know, as much as we shit on the frog lady and the great egg controversy of 2019/2020, the reuniting between the frog people was genuinely a beautiful moment. So you got to love that. And the going on to a Gazanti, such a fun idea and executed to perfection. That was like probably the best action the Mandalorian's ever had. What else?
I do love in the Boba Fett and Fennec episode where they're fighting stormtroopers for like 20 fucking minutes, and then Boba does the fly up and sees Gideon's cruiser. It's like, it's the Empire. Then Fennec just doesn't believe him.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck did you think you were doing?
That was one of the weaker episodes. I think this might be controversial. I actually think the Ahsoka episode was good in terms of what it did to the story, but that made me feel like Dave Filoni's not quite ready for the big chair yet.
Like, I didn't mind the cameos as much going through the second time because I kind of knew to expect them. Where they were probably watching it the first time, the thing I was like, didn't love. And I still don't love that the show got so taken over by it. But I think part of it was just Ahsoka's, for that episode, really taking over. Where, like, if you go back and watch it, Bo-Katan's makes a lot of sense, especially, like, seeing where things went with her now. Then Boba and Fennec are kind of there in the background for a lot of the rest of them. But they don't really take over the show, especially knowing how bad that can get from seeing what Din does to Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
But, like, you get to the Believer where, like, yeah, Boba's there, but the main story is still, okay, they're going into the complex with Migs and Din.
Yeah, I really liked how Boba was used in the later parts of season 2. Like, I thought he was he's there. Like, they needed his ship because the Razor Crest was destroyed. Do you think he's going to be in season 3? I'm actually not sure.
I don't know. Like, we went to Tatooine already. Nope, never mind.
Spoiler. Listen, I'll eat it. They go to Tatooine next episode.
Immediately.
I'll immediately. Yeah, it's the first thing that happens. So,
oops.
That's okay.
I thought that happened at the end of the first episode.
To be fair, it's pretty obvious. But anyway, moving on from that. I'm really not sure whether we're going to get, Boba, or whether we're going to get a Book of Boba Fett season 2. I honestly think if we're getting a Book of Boba Fett season 2, they might not bother for the show. Yeah, I don't know.
Especially if Boba is working on his crime syndicate now. I don't know that that's going to overlap unless fucking Gorian Shard turns into a bigger part of the season and it turns into like a brawl out between them for underworld supremacy. Unless like Gorian Shard's getting set up as an enemy for Boba in Book of Boba Fett season 2.
Ooh, that'd be interesting. You know what? Gorian Shard, I think he's going to be in the show at least once, because there was one shot from the trailer that shows his ship. I think it was over like in atmosphere over a planet. So, fucking Gorian Shard, he's silly, which I don't mind, but I was just thinking, man, this guy is a fucking Star Fox villain. Like, especially with the giant rhino right behind him on his bridge, straight out of Star Fox.
It was all a little too on the nose for me.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
There was too much. They all looked kind of wet the whole time. They were wearing like clear pirate costumes.
I just thought he looked. See, that didn't bother me really. I didn't really actually find that. I just thought he looked a lot like old Greg.
He was just, to me, I don't know who the fuck old Greg is.
Oh, can you Google old Greg real quick?
I've seen him now because like you posted the picture and everything. But he just looked exactly like Davy Jones in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, see, I didn't get that because I just saw old Greg.
Okay. Well,
who also lives underwater. So,
do you think he's a netty?
I don't think so. I think it might be seaweed on his face, not
branches.
Yeah, I think it's probably the best guess we have. And I actually saw a couple other people guess that as well.
So I think it's either a netty or a sylph, which is like an old French RPG magazine poll that never appeared anywhere else. Sylphe. But I thought he was just like really sweaty or something, and that's why he was glistening so much to have him have the nautical theme. But he doesn't look like Udnar, but he does look a lot more like Trissa.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't look like Udnar, who's like fully tree-like, right?
Yeah.
From what I remember.
What if Udnar isn't even normal for Nettie? He just happens to have that like skin bark disease thing.
Because he'd just been vibing for so long. Yeah. No, I'm for that. I remember there being another leaf creature in the Star Wars Marvel comics, but I can't remember. Oh my god, the Rangers just gave up 2 goals in like 2 seconds. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious. I think they're probably going to go new species though. That's my guess.
Well, we have a couple emails, unless there's something else you want to comment on with our 2 episodes of the week.
Nope.
All right, so I will load into the right email address for that now that I have read the customer service one. Our first question comes from Tristan, who asks, I'm currently writing a speculative novella based off of Andor. Since the timeline of Andor's upcoming 2nd season must include Director Krennic's development of the Death Star, what sources would you suggest for character info about Krennic, the subject, and his relationship with Vader, Tarkin, Palpatine, and other high-up Imperials like Yularen? Any ideas would be hugely appreciated, as I am struggling to write about this character accurately. So, I think Krennic shows up in a lot of the Rebellion era novels. I haven't read a lot of them in New Canon yet, but I think the first place to look is just his appearances section in Wikipedia.
Yeah, there's Catalyst, which is like the Rogue One prequel, I believe. I can't remember if there was actually a full Rogue One novel. I don't think so. But yeah, Catalyst would be good. I'm trying to think of what other novels he's in. I can't. Oh, there was a Rogue One novelization, so I'd read that. Catalyst. I think those would probably be the two big ones. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Tristan. Sorry, I don't have anything useful to add. Our next question, just like usual. Our next question is from Chara, who has a question about Clone Wars to Rebels to Mandalorian.
Okay.
So, Bo-Katan has made a really big mistake which got her sister killed, and that mistake is seemingly going to dominate the rest of her life. By the time of the most recent episode of The Mandalorian, Bo-Katan has failed to be Mandalore at least 3 consecutive times, and is seemingly lost it all, and honestly looking like she was having a depressive midlife crisis when Din walks in. Do you think Bo-Katan will find redemption or peace with her actions in The Mandalorian through Din uniting the Mandalorian people, or is she finally throwing in the towel for good, maybe radically changing her life and leaving Mandalorian culture behind like her sister did?
I wouldn't say her sister left Mandalorian culture behind. She just had a different idea of what the Mandalorian should be like. Yeah, like I don't. It's hard because we don't exactly know what happened. Like, obviously, she was dethroned by the Empire somehow. I don't know whether you can say that's her fault, really. I feel like she's got more angst over not having the Darksaber right now than anything, and her buildup of Mandalorian force is completely just scattering to the wind, like she says. That, to me, is kind of where most of her depression's coming from.
Yeah. Like, I feel like a big thing that the Mandalorians have to overcome is the whole Darksaber and a lot of the importance of those parts of their traditions taking precedence over the actual outcome of their actions.
Yeah.
Whether that's Din taking off his helmet because it was necessary to save Grogu or to do something that had a better outcome as a result, or it's the Darksaber just being kind of a pointless symbol that gets a lot of people killed a lot. Like, I
Mhm.
think I wouldn't write off Bo-Katan as getting some sort of path to being Mandalore. Like, I feel like that could still happen, and she needed to just go from thinking it was a thing she was owed for being who she is, because she doesn't quite present it like that, but there's still a lot of, you're part
Mhm.
of the royal family, you deserve to be royalty, and I'd prefer they didn't just go back to saying, oh, now she gets it, but
Mhm.
I think it could still go that way, where like now that she's been kind of beaten down, stripped away of all this stuff that she started with, understands where the problems in Mandalorian culture come from, and understands that it's necessary to unite everyone. Like, I think that could still lead to her building herself back up and then helping to build the Mandalorians back up.
Yeah. No, I
And
totally agree.
even if Din ends up being the Mandalorian or being Mandalore, or if Grogu eventually does in like 200 years, I think like Bo-Katan will definitely play a pretty instrumental role in anyone becoming the next Mandalore.
Yeah. Totally agree.
But thank you for the question. We got one more for tonight from Joel, who says, "Do you think since the start of the Mandalorian, Thrawn and Gideon have been working together? Personally, I feel like Gideon and Thrawn have been independent from each other, with Gideon in the known galaxy and Thrawn in the unknown regions. I could see a situation where Thrawn returns and claims leadership of the scattered Imperial cells. As always, love to hear your thoughts."
Yeah. No, I don't think that we discussed this last season. I personally don't feel like they've been working together. I think that Gideon's been doing his own thing. They might work together, like going now. But Gideon always seemed to me as somebody who's very self-centered
Mm-hmm.
and like he wants all the power for himself. Like that's why he wants the dark saber. Like that's why he was like nobody wields the dark saber because it's an efficient weapon. Like unless you're a Jedi, I guess. I guess Din's kind of, but you know, in whether he's any good with it, not according to
It's
the book of Boba
rarely
Fett.
his first choice of what he wants to use.
Yes, exactly. Um, and Gideon's all right with it, but I mean, he has that thing so he can let his nuts hang, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't feel like he's working for Thrawn. I feel like he might get strong armed into working for Thrawn at some point, but
Yeah, I could see that being the case, but
given that we know literally nothing about the character right now, it's all speculation.
yeah, like I could see him now that Gideon has had so much taken away from him, he gets like extricated from the New Republic and then starts working for Thrawn. Like he gets rescued.
Oh yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. Thrawn sends some Nogrian and fucking jailbreak, baby.
yeah, but yeah, I don't
Although
think
they
they've
fucking
been
killed.
coordinating.
They killed what's his name?
Pershing?
No, Pershing's still alive. They killed
Grogu?
no, the Nogri.
Rook?
Yeah, Rook. Well, he fell down a hole, so
Yeah, falling down a hole doesn't mean you're dead. Have you watched Star Wars before?
that's true. But he at least didn't leave with the boys.
It's kind of fucked up that like IG-11, they just put his actual corpse in the town square.
Yeah, and like nobody even tried to fix him.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Turn
great
him
savior.
on. What are you talking about?
Oh, great savior, how much we miss you. We'd do anything for you except bring you down the fucking street. Like there's literally a den of nerds like who can maybe fix you 2 seconds away. Like why not see if they can help? Maybe.
Yeah. And maybe the memory chip was fine until someone dropped a fucking golden or bronze bust of Grief Karga on him.
Yeah, exactly. Like you crush the fucker.
As soon as that happens, like, oh, he's done. But
Yeah,
apparently that wasn't as big of a problem.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think that is going to do it for today's podcast. Unless you got anything else you want to throw in there, Mr. Ladder.
Nope. Rangers scored 2 goals during I think while you were talking there, so let's go.
All right. Well, Thank you so much for watching. We are going to be live in probably 15 to 20 minutes playing some
I was gonna
Fortnite.
say.
So that'll be over on youtube.com/EKSTOO.
Iki.
Iki Sussy Buck. Or on twitch.tv/Corey Loses. We're gonna play Fortnite.
Oh, the best thing is you got to send me your audio, so I'm gonna get a clear version of you saying that.
Just put it at the start of the video.
Yeah,
I told you this offline, but if you go on X channel, I'm sure you're all regular viewers of his channel. But my favorite part is loading up the homepage and having his Book of Boba Fett live reaction.
Like, I grunt like right at the beginning, like yeah, I'm like adjusting myself.
Anytime I go to the page, it's the first thing I hear, and I love it. But,
do you like The Office?
Yeah.
Do you remember? Do you ever see that? I know it was a blooper. I don't know if it made it into the actual show, but they're like at a meeting and what's the guy's name? Oh, Stanley. They're like Michael says something about like how he can support Stanley in his diabetes, and Stanley's like, "Why do you think I've got diabetes?" And then he like stands up and he's like, "Ugh." And he's like, "Well, that sound you just made really sad." I don't know if it's diabetes or something, but it's really funny.
I do remember that.
You do remember it?
I remember Stanley making a lot of noises in general. I don't know that I remember that specific one, but everyone can think about Stanley's grunts until next week when I think we're talking about battle scars.
Yeah.
All right. So that'll be next Thursday, Jedi Battle Scars. And week after that, I think, is more TV discussion, if you're still around. But
yeah, it's going to be iffy.
Until then, I'm Neo, I'm Leo, I'm DZX Clark.